everybody, and welcome to another and surprising episode of The Imaginary Boys. I am one of the two hosts, Mr. Habanero, and I have my secondary host, who is Mr. Lettuce. It's been a while, hasn't it, Mr. Lettuce?
It's been a while.
God. Quoting our favorite artist of all time, I see, huh? This is going to be our favorite collection of Nickelback songs, right? Is that what we're talking about today?
Yeah, Nickelback.
Yeah, hell yeah, man. The greatest band on earth, clearly.
I mean, I don't know if I would say greatest band on earth.
Clearly.
But they're up there.
Yeah, they're like...
But they're up there.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, music, man.
Music. Yeah. Oh, I mean, how have you been? It's been a while since we've recorded.
Yeah.
I've been busy, or my internet has been screwy.
Yeah. We've had some issues.
I found out what that issue was with the internet.
Oh yeah.
The last time we tried recording.
Yeah, what was it?
The coax cable was so the coax cable that's running from the wall jack to the cable modem had a curve in it that was a little too tight, and coax is exceptionally susceptible to tight bends.
Mm-hmm.
So I scooted over some office furniture to let that cable kind of bend in a not so, oh my god, we're going to snap in half kind of way. And a lot,
I need to open.
And a lot of my internet issues kind of have gone away.
Nice.
Yeah, so that's cool. I'm fully settled into my apartment now.
Nice.
I am getting married tomorrow.
Wow. All right. That's exciting.
Well, yeah. No, part of the reason why I was so adamant about recording tonight, as this is going to be my bachelor party. Just two dudes drinking and shooting the shit.
Oh, man. I have some more liquor on my, in my kitchen, so if I need to drink more, I will do it. I totally forgot that I needed to be totally sloshed for this one.
Well, you don't need to be totally sloshed. I will be, however. Mostly because in the month and a half, and I haven't really, this is my first alcohol in about 2 to 3 months.
Yeah, you were trying to not drink as much simply because of the nice little lady who's, staying with you.
Well, my stepdaughter.
Yeah. Well, you have two. That's who I meant. I probably should have said, because I knew that one of the two ladies would be okay with you drinking, but you had to do it for the other little lady. So,
well, it's just we don't have a good place to store alcohol, and I don't. And you live in an apartment.
Yes, I do.
My fridge in my apartment is not small. Not like the generic small apartment fridge.
Right.
But it's not as big as the fridge that I had.
Okay.
In my house. Which, sold all that stuff and everything. The move went good. Her house sold too, so we're officially no longer homeowners. So fridge space is kind of at a premium, and I felt really bad about having fridge space being taken up by alcohols.
Right.
And also, there is a teenage girl floating about, and she get a wild hair in her ass and get into the alcohol. So it was just something.
Yeah, my parents, they didn't do anything to hide their alcohol when I was a teenager. And man, oh man, did I have a great time getting into it as a teenager. So I understand how you feel.
Right. So this is my first alcohol consumption in a while. And, I'm a creature of habit. So I'm I am dancing with our good friend Dak Jagnals.
Nice. Dak is a good
Uh,
man.
Ted, Dak Daniels. He is giving me some of his Tennessee honey, and I am mixing it with Coke Zero.
Yum. I'm just drinking a very strong beer.
An IPA.
It is, yeah. It's an Imperial Hazy IPA, so it's really really strong. Has an incredibly high alcohol content in it, and
Does it have a lot of hops?
it's very hoppy. It's actually one of the hoppiest beers I've bought in a while. So it's very very. It's like there are times where I drink it and it reminds me of like it makes me think I'm like licking like a grapefruit peel. It's
But
very.
I'm gonna tell you. I'm gonna let you in on a little secret.
Mm-hmm.
If you come across like $700 that you are not that you just like burning a hole in your pocket, and you want to increase the the quality of your life,
Okay.
get you a pellet ice maker.
Okay. All right.
Like, get you a good high end pellet ice maker. In order to save space in the freezer,
Mm-hmm.
the freezer has one of those automatic ice makers.
Mine doesn't, but I
Jam
know what you're talking about.
Yeah, jam that thing into off. Took the little basket out, and um, my living requirements for moving back into a city that I know has terrible water
Mm-hmm.
was we had to have inline water filtration at the kitchen sink,
Right.
if not the fridge.
Yeah.
The fridge doesn't have a water dispenser, so we had to do the thing in the kitchen sink, which I spent about $300 on a inline water filter system.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, well, we're gonna need ice. So I got one of those GE Opal pellet ice makers.
Right.
Oh, so good.
Yeah, I just
Like
use ice cube trays but I do have like filtered water. So like I have like a little
a little Brita thing
yeah, I
going.
have like a Brita like 1 gallon, I think it's like 1 gallon or 2 gallon tank. Um I just filter all my water and I drink that. In fact, I
Oh,
have a water bottle right next to me.
I mean, it's probably good for one person, but we've got three here, sometimes four,
Yeah.
and because of the fridge space, another thing that I did was I bought one of those SodaStream soda makers,
Yeah. Yeah.
because one of Courtney's requests was, she got to have carbonated beverages. I'm like,
Right.
okay, whatever. So we have kind of a drink station now with a soda stream. But we bought like a bunch of those little Mio water enhancers.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you can carbonate those things and make like soda.
Mhm.
So um so that's what we're doing, and it's really successful. The teenage daughter kind of approves.
Mhm.
She likes to make her own sodas. So
Yeah.
we're not like fridge spacing a shit ton of sodas at any given moment.
Mhm.
If we have guests over, that's like the only time we really buy sodas, is if the mother-in-law is around,
Right.
because
Yeah.
she's got to very specifically have Diet Coke in a can.
I only like to, I mean, so I don't like my water to be flavored. If I'm like thirsty for water, I just like to drink water. Like I like it to be filtered. But I don't like flavoring in my water. Like I'll like literally there are times where I'll have to like think and I'll be like, okay, like this is a decision that I've had to make multiple times. I'll be like, okay, I am currently craving a coffee. So I need to sit down for a moment and I need to ask myself, do I want to drink a coffee or am I actually thirsty and I just need to drink water? And then usually I'll like think about it for a minute and then I will proceed to drink a little bit of water And if I drink a little bit of like regular water and my body's like, that's what I want, I'll be like, okay, so I don't want to actually make a coffee. I just need to be hydrated. And then there are times where I'll
Right.
just like drink some water and my body's like, this is good and I'm glad you're hydrating me, but I actually want to taste a delicious coffee. And then I will go and make a coffee. So
No, I get it.
I take
And
hydration very seriously.
so the city I moved to is Knoxville, Tennessee.
Yeah.
Just doxed myself.
That's okay. I can cut it out if you want.
No, it's okay. Like I think most of your listeners know that I live in Tennessee. That like I've lived in Tennessee this entire time.
I mean, as long as you're not giving us your, zip code and address, it's fine.
Yeah. Knoxville is a pretty decent sized city. However, city water has a flavor regardless of how well you filter it.
I mean, a lot of waters in a lot of different places are like that. Like, for example, like
it's complete ass. It's complete ass if you try to straight tap it.
Okay. Well, because what I was going to say was just simply like, I can say that the water that I get out of my tap in my kitchen tastes better than the water I would get out of a tap if I go into the city across from me. Like, they distinctively have different taste to them, So I know what you mean.
So I'm in the middle of the city. Like I have to have that inline filter to make the water even remotely drinkable.
Right.
But there's still a little flavor. So it's like, do I let the city choose the flavor? And it tastes a little bit like diluted piss? Or do I choose the flavor? I put a couple of drops in that.
Bruh.
And now it tastes like green tea.
Sure.
So I go do the green tea. I'm assuming there's a Walmart in your town.
Yes.
Okay. Is. Water enhancer. Great value water enhancer.
I've seen those. I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Peach tea flavor.
Yep. I've seen that one.
Turns your water and make it taste like like the peach gummy rings.
Which I know that you're very much in love with. I know that's like your
dude. You like them too.
I do. I don't think I like them as much as you do. Like, I think they're delicious, but you rant and rave about how amazing they are.
Oh man, I don't know if I wasn't worried about getting all that sugar over my dip.
Yeah. I've been, like, for example, like, one, like, what I really like that I feel like I always get a lot of flack for loving is I think black licorice is delicious. I love black licorice. It's so yummy.
I hate black licorice.
Uh-huh.
I will drink NyQuil. I'm also a high functioning alcoholic, so
I don't think those two things have a direct correlation to one another, other than flavor, which is what you're implying.
Yeah, which is the flavor. Like, I don't like black licorice. I will drink NyQuil.
Yeah,
but I'm also a high functioning alcoholic, so take that with a grain of salt.
Come on, man. But but see, the thing is like I will go to the dollar store and I'll buy like a bag of Wallaby Australian licorice, like black licorice. It's so good. Like, I love it. I think it's got like the perfect texture. Like, it's like soft and chewy, and it's got that original licorice flavor. And the thing is too, like, another thing that I should say is I used to live when I was younger, when I was like a young teenager. I used to live by the American River, and the American River has in the area that I was living in, there were wild licorice plants that would grow alongside of the river in certain areas. And like as a kid, like I would go over and I would find those wild licorice plants and I would just literally like snap them off and chew on them. And that's literally like eating like black licorice. Like, I mean, obviously you don't, swallow the plant, but you like chew on it for the flavor. And then when the flavor's gone, you spit it out. I used to do that.
Yeah, I used to gnaw on pure sugar cane.
Oh man, I've never seen a sugarcane plant before, so I wouldn't know, but that would make sense. But yeah.
There was a farmer's market that had like sugar cane in my town, like randomly, like sugar cane.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd buy a cane, and I would take it to school with me, and I would just gnaw the out of sugar cane.
Yeah.
Be like, nar, 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 nar.
But I've always had like an affinity towards weird flavors like that. Like I like, I've said it a billion times already. I love bitter flavors. I think that like the flavor of bitter things is such a underappreciated flavor. Like I love it. I love like bitter foods and things like that. I don't know if licorice counts as bitter. Is that like a bitter flavor? Not really sure.
I mean, kinda.
Yeah.
Like as far as the flavor profile goes, I would put bitter with an earthy tone.
Yeah. Well, I've also like I've had absinthe a few times, and I think absinthe is delicious, but that just tastes like black licorice as well.
Oh, that shit. You're kind of young, so I remember that shit being banned.
Yeah, I mean, so I've had it.
When it went legal.
Yeah.
I went and bought me and my ex-wife went and out like bought ourselves like a whole setup.
So
for some absinthe, and we bought some shit cheap absinthe, and it tastes like ass.
Well, so if I remember correctly, the big thing about absinthe was that it was banned because it was made with wormwood originally, like it was fermented with wormwood, and wormwood is a hallucinogen. So it would literally make you hallucinate, and sometimes if you consume too much of it, it can make you very sick. And I think I've also heard stories. I've also heard stories that you can become too intoxicated with wormwood, and it can literally kill you. And that that was why it was banned. When they unbanned it, if I remember correctly, the whole thing was that it's because most absinthe now is made without wormwood. They don't produce it with wormwood anymore.
Or they use a safe extract.
Yeah, something like that. So I think that was like the main reason why they started bringing it back into regular consumption. I've had absinthe with wormwood, and I've had absinthe without wormwood. When I had absinthe with wormwood, I was at a party of a friend, and he basically stole this absinthe from his parents' liquor cabinet, and we all partook in it. And so I personally didn't hallucinate or anything. I got very drunk with that plus the assistance of some other alcohols, so I was very drunk. But I didn't hallucinate. And the thing is, though, is that when we had our absinthe, we just took shots of it, and that was it. And I later found out in the future that the reason why we probably didn't hallucinate is because when you consume absinthe, you're supposed to prepare it in a specific way where you get a special shot glass where you put there's like a filter that goes on the top, and then you lay a sugar cube on the top of the filter, and then you pour the absinthe over the top of the sugar cube, and supposedly the sugar in the sugar cube activates the hallucinogenic part of the wormwood, and that's what makes you hallucinate. So I've had it with wormwood in it and not hallucinated, but I also did it incorrectly. We just took shots of it. And the second time that I've had it, I had it prepared in the correct way that you're supposed to have absinthe with the filter and the sugar cube. However, it was made without wormwood, so it didn't matter. They only put the sugar cube process into it because that was the ritual. So
the sugar cube, you run a shot of absinthe over the sugar cube, and then
I think you're supposed to water it down a little bit too.
You are.
Like you pour a little bit of hot water on top or something.
Ice cold.
Oh, it's ice cold. Okay, got it.
Yeah,
But yeah,
the water
so
has to be like ice cold.
yeah, so I've had absinthe twice. And like I said, one time with wormwood, but not done correctly, and the other time done correctly, but without wormwood. So, you know,
Yeah,
um, yeah, and I liked it because
I
it tasted like black licorice, and I love black licorice.
yeah yeah.
So wait, you just told me that you really like absinthe, but you don't like black licorice?
I've had absinthe.
Uh huh.
I can't. I'm not going to say that I don't. I'm not going to say that I like absinthe
Okay.
because I also don't like Jägermeister.
Oh yeah, they do taste very similar, don't they?
Yeah, Jaeger is ass.
I mean, I like some Jaeger. There's a really good Jaeger drink that I've had where you're supposed to like have it with like a really strong beer and you drop the shot into the beer. Is that the flaming?
Jägermeister bomb.
Yeah, Jaeger bomb. That's it, a Jaeger bomb. I like Jaeger bombs. Jaeger bombs are very good.
Yeah, I don't drink beer or Jägermeister.
Okay. Well, I can definitely say that Jaeger is very hard to drink by itself. Like you're always going to want to chase it with something. Like, it's kind of like when like I said, I talked about like dropping it into a beer. The other times I've had it was when you drink it with it's like a shot with um Red Bull, right? So I've had
That's the only time I've ever had Jaeger was Jaeger. It was a Jaeger shot dropped in Red Bull.
Yeah. And I mean that's okay, but my point is that like I don't think Jaeger like cuz Jaeger is like really thick. It's like almost like a syrup kind of too, isn't
Yeah,
it? So
yeah,
like
it's very syrupy.
yeah, it's very hard to drink like shots of it by itself. You kind of always need to like have it mixed with something or dropped into something, you know.
It's like really crappy tasting NyQuil.
But see, I don't think it tastes bad. I think that it's really strong, which is why it needs to be mixed with something, and it's very thick, which is why it needs to be mixed with something. But I don't think it tastes gross because I think I like the flavor of Jaeger. But then again, like I said, like I like black licorice. I like all sorts of weird, strange flavors because my body and my taste buds are very unusual. So, you know what I love to do when I'm consuming large amounts of alcohol, such as Jägermeister and things like that? It's very frequent that when I'm drinking large
Masturbate.
amounts of alcohol, I'm at a party. And when I'm at a party, there's lots and lots of music playing, right, Mr. Lettuce?
Yeah, 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 yeah. Oh man, look at you trying to get us on, trying to get us on track. We're 30 minutes in, and you're like, "Wait a second, we're supposed to be doing something."
Well, because I got really lost in that conversation, and I was like, "Oh shit, we're supposed to be doing something."
Right.
Um. So the first thing that I wanted to really bring up, if we're going to talk about music, is I
Yeah.
first of all have to appreciate and thank Mr. Lettuce because he had the idea of he wanted to do a specific subject for this particular podcast, and I'm really glad that he made me do it because I got to listen to music that I have not listened to in probably about a couple of years now. And I just kind of like had a moment where I was like listening to it because I was like, oh, like I'm being forced to do this homework. I have to listen to this music. And I did like this music, years ago, but I'm being forced to do it now and I don't know how I feel about it and blah, 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 blah. And then I just sat down and I played the music and I was like, oh, yeah, this is why I loved this music. Like, I kind of like temporarily forgot for a while that I loved this music so much. And then I was like listening to it and I was like, oh yeah, like I do love this. And I'm glad that I'm being forced to listen to this again. So
You're welcome.
yeah, no, I even tweeted about it. I literally like put out a
It's
tweet.
these it's
Yeah.
these little thought experiments that kind of, because one of the things I said at the starting of our podcast so many like a year ago and a couple
That was so
months
many a year ago.
uh I made mention about how people of our age
Mm-hmm.
and our predilections, we kind of have a tendency to move away from music.
Yeah.
Like in our youth, music is very important,
Yeah.
but then we have things that kind of take over music in importance.
Mm-hmm.
You have other things going on in your life. I have other things going on in my life, and it's really been that way since our 30s. It's been that way since my 30s. Like I have to force myself to think about music
Yeah.
and my appreciation of music, and kind of in order to stay into music. Otherwise, I'd abandoned it completely.
So, you know what's really interesting talking about this, that I realized this like a little while ago, is, sometimes you see like people who are like really well off, like you see inside their houses, like when they go into like, oh, like I have this like really nice house that I set up in a very specific way because I can afford it and blah blah blah. And every once in a while when you see those houses and they're like, oh yeah, so this is my dining room, and it's like, oh, what's this room over here? Oh, this is my private music room. And they're like, oh, do you go there to record music? And they're like, no, 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 it's not a music recording room. It's a room where the only thing inside of it is a nice sound system and like, all my music and a chair. And I just sit in this chair and I put on an album and I just sit there and I listen to it. And that's the sole purpose of this room. And I remember before in the past thinking like, why do you need an entire room to just go and sit down and enjoy music? Like, why would that be a thing? And now that I'm older and I'm like, oh, like, I don't really have time to really sit down and appreciate music, right? And when I think about that, I'm like, oh my God, that's why people build music rooms. Like, where the
Yeah,
only purpose is to literally sit down and enjoy music.
you've got a
That's why they do
recliner.
it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you got a recliner, a good quality headphone set,
Or just a nice
good
stereo system too.
plugging into a hi-fi, or just if you don't have to worry about disturbing the rest of the house, like a nice hi-fi system with some very good high quality speakers.
Yeah.
No, I knew people who weren't necessarily that well off. My middle school advanced algebra teacher.
Hmm.
I mean, he was in as a hobby. He was a musician. He was a saxophone player,
Right.
but he lived near my grandfather, and I would come to his house every once in a while. Um, and he had a a music room that was dedicated to uh, phonographs and 8 tracks.
Right. Right.
Like he had, and he had like a reel to reel.
Oh, that's cool.
And we're talking about like the early to mid '90s.
Right.
And he's got audio equipment like that he's maintained and stuff. And you've not lived until you've listened to Abbey Road on vinyl.
Yeah, I know that records like just are making a huge comeback right now. Like vinyl is just like it's what everybody's into right now. And I think that's really interesting that vinyl is making such a humongous comeback. Like everybody is foaming at the mouth to
I
acquire
love
like
me
a
some
high.
lost. I love me some iTunes lossless digital.
Yeah, so I know that vinyl is making a huge comeback, but I mean, I have a little bit of experience listening to vinyl, but not very much, and it's never been like, I mean, I get the idea of it, but it's never been like a humongous thing for me particularly. Like I've never been a person who wants to go way, way out of their way to like acquire vinyl and do it.
And an ex girlfriend of mine actually bought me because I made the the comment about like you haven't ever really lived until you've listened to Abbey Road on vinyl.
Uh huh.
So she went out and got me a copy of Abbey Road on vinyl. I don't have a fucking turntable.
That's so funny. That's when
And
you go and buy one.
I never got a turn. Have you seen the prices of even the low end turntable?
Yeah, well, that's because they're being charged, like, they're more expensive now because it's like a fad right now, you know.
I mean, I'd just rather buy some Coke and whores.
My dad has a digital turntable for like records because he has a bunch of vinyl that he's collected over the years.
Right,
So
right.
he was given, but I don't think it was that expensive. But also, like I said, it was before the vinyl fad hit. Like it's like a big deal now, but like if you go back,
Oh yeah,
like
no,
say,
it's a
yeah,
I mean, like this was the girlfriend that I had before I met Courtney.
right,
And like for my birthday, she's like I had made a reference like you haven't lived until you've heard, because one thing Mr. Roberts and I did was we'd go into his room and we would listen to Abbey Road
mm-hmm.
on vinyl. And
Nice.
I'm like, it's kind of transformative.
That's really cool, man. I can
Like
dig that.
to just that recording as it was commonly pushed.
Right.
Like because that's what you had back then was vinyl.
Mm-hmm.
So
I mean, there's a
like
lot of
even with like all the imperfections that platform has,
mm,
like a recording artist knows of that time knew like what they were dealing with, and they adjusted accordingly.
right.
But yeah, so
There are a lot of
I don't
people
even.
that would say that like vinyl is considered to be like the ideal form of like physical music, you know. Um,
Uh,
I've heard a lot about that. Well, like cuz the concept of like a record and how it functions has been around since like early mankind. Like have you ever seen
right.
like the ancient music discs that were like recorded on pottery and shit like that? It's so wild.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I've seen that. But I've also seen what technology can do
Yeah.
for recording artists. Like as I said, FLAC.
Right.
I'm a big proponent of FLAC.
Right.
If you have high speed internet, FLAC is where you want to be.
Mhm.
FLAC is kind of dying because the music industry kind of went behind Apple lossless. But Apple lossless is basically a derivative of FLAC.
Mhm.
But like you can recreate anything you really want behind FLAC or Apple lossless.
Right. Well,
So
I think I have a player on my computer that's dedicated to running FLAC. So, wait.
right, so like
FLAC is a media file, isn't it?
yeah, FLAC
Okay. Okay.
is a media codec
That's what I
that has
thought.
no
Okay.
compression that does not have compression.
Right. It's okay.
So you
Yeah.
don't lose anything. You don't lose anything in the digital translation.
Right. Yeah, okay. I
So
know what it
that's
is. I just wanted to make sure that I wasn't like misunderstanding you because sometimes I can be the big dum dum when it comes to computer stuff. So,
right.
but
FLAC is
but I
basically the
do know what
bitmap.
FLAC is.
FLAC is basically the high end bitmap of audio codecs.
Okay. Yeah. I've used it before. I've used it before. Um but yeah.
But anyway, music, man.
Yeah, yeah.
Music, such a like as we're young and we don't have a lot of care in the world. A lot of us move to like we fill like the purpose vibe in our lives with music. And when I was a teenager,
Mhm.
the band I kind of gravitated towards was the Smashing Pumpkins.
Absolutely, man. um
I mean, when I was a teenager, you were a wee little babby.
Yeah.
I was introduced to it by the Pumpkins by a good friend of mine from high school, whom, over the years kind of fall in and out of contact with. But our tradition was like working on magic decks and listening to the Smashing Pumpkins.
Holy shit. That is like the ultimate, like, goddamn, that is literally a time capsule, what you just now said to me.
That was my mid-90s experience, man.
Yeah, no shit, it was mid-90s. Jesus Christ.
Going to my friend Isaiah's house and kind of working on magic decks together.
Yeah.
Because he and I were PTQ grinders as well as like huge pumpkin heads. Right. So we would like fire up some pumpkins and be like, let's go ahead and attack this metagame, bro.
That's so funny. That is such a 90s thing. That's so hilarious.
Man, I peaked so hard in the early 90s.
I mean, so I like Bullet with Butterfly Wings, but I can definitely say that I like, and I mean, I've told you this before, I was not a fan of the Smashing Pumpkins until I listened to Machina. And I know that there's a lot of people who are like, oh, it's not even the best album. What are you doing with your life? Shut up. And it's like, I love Machina. It's my favorite album. That's what made me love that band. I didn't love them. I mean, I liked them, like I liked them.
Okay. Well, you are an insufferable hipster most of the time. with your IPAs and your whatevers.
I just like things that hipsters like. I'm sorry.
But no, like, I mean, I'll agree with you. I think Machina is an incredibly underrated album.
I love that album so much.
It's still not any better than Siamese Dream.
Well, I like Siamese Dream.
I think a lot of people sleep on Siamese Dream. I mean, on Machina. Siamese Dream obviously is like one of the just straight up, like, it's a top 5 album of the 90s.
Okay. All right.
Like,
I'm not going to disagree.
I think Siamese Dream is easily, if it's not the best album of the 90s, it's a very close second.
Okay. But yeah, I mean,
but anyway, so do you want me to run through the thought experiment I gave you for our listeners?
Yeah, man.
So they know what we're about to do?
Yeah, tell us what you're going to tell us about the Pumpkins. Go ahead.
Okay, so I gave Mr. Habanero a choice.
He gave me homework, is what he did.
I gave him homework. I gave him a choice. I was like, look, bro, I'm going to get married tomorrow. Well, on the 27th.
Right.
And I was like, you have a choice. We could either rank songs by the Smashing Pumpkins or Weezer, or we could objectify some women.
So what I did was, knowing that this was essentially his bachelor party, I was like, well, you need to make the decision. So this is what he wanted.
Well, I made the decision because any podcast I record where we objectify the out of some women,
which is a good time usually,
whether real or fictional, my soon-to-be wife has a sad.
So here's the funny thing: is that I have a pretty small audience that enjoys my podcast. I found out that the majority of the audience that listens to my podcast are women, and they think those episodes are usually hilarious. So,
right, because we objectify women in a very friendly and funny way.
Yeah.
So the majority of the women find it funny, My soon-to-be wife has a sad because she doesn't like the thought of me shacking up with a fictional character.
Okay, I mean it's it's just imaginary, but I mean I can see it. I can see why. I mean,
spending an hour like
Bruh.
drooling over Lulu and her impossible
Bruh.
cleavage.
I love that episode so much. It turns out not very many people like that one. I love the Lulu gravity equation. That is one of my favorite episodes.
That is literally like a top 3 episode for me too.
I love that episode so much.
Man.
Casting
hopefully
Lulu casting gravity on her tits so that they bounce more.
Gravija! Zero Gravija!
It's like the idea of having to expend an insane amount of magic just so that your boobs bounce properly. It's so beautiful.
She's chugging ethers, so her shit's perky.
Okay,
like,
so
that is comedy that writes itself. But we're not objectifying.
No, we would never do that. That's not a thing that we would do.
Oh, come on,
bruh,
dude. We're gonna do another. We're gonna do another. We'll let Sid episode.
We'll see. But anyways, you wanted to talk about Smashing Pumpkins, which is what we're here to do, right?
Because I think as far as bands go, it's either Smashing Pumpkins or Weezer. Where we kind of have a common ground of being like super fans.
Mm-hmm. I would definitely have to do a lot of homework on Weezer because it's been quite a long time since I've listened to them. But I mean, I did a lot of homework on Pumpkins too. Yeah, I mean,
really, wow.
Yeah, I definitely don't like a lot of the music just to really briefly explain it. A lot of the music that I listen to nowadays is primarily ambient or background or electronic music. And the reason why is because I'm doing things. And if I'm listening to somebody singing or speaking in music, it distracts me from what I'm trying to do. So that's one of the major reasons why I don't really listen to like Weezer, Pumpkins, or even other favorites of mine like Tool and stuff like that. It's because
I get it.
The singing distracts me from what I'm working on. So I want to focus on what he's saying, So if I'm like reading, like for example, I'm currently training for my new job right now, and I like to have music playing, but if I hear lyrics, I can't focus on what I'm reading. So
no, I get it.
Yeah.
So my thought experiment to you was give me a list of 8 Smashing Pumpkin songs that you feel are the top 8 Smashing Pumpkin songs. And I was going to produce a similar list.
Yeah.
And we did this. I chose top 8 because originally we were going to try to get Cinder Shadow to do this with us. Because I kind of hoped he kind of was familiar with the Smashing Pumpkins or Weezer.
I don't know if he's into Weezer, but I'm pretty sure he's listened to the Pumpkins.
Right. But he is a worky boy, so...
Yeah.
He could not join us in our little stag party.
Yeah. You're right.
So you completed your homework.
I did.
And I'm very proud of you, because you could have told me to fuck off. Like, you're a grown-ass man. You don't need to do homework, but you did it.
Hey, man.
And I did my homework.
I listened to a bunch of Smashing Pumpkins songs that I have not listened to in years, and I also did a little bit of Minecrafting in the process, because I can listen to lyrics while I'm playing Minecraft, so...
But anyway, Let's get into this because we're about an hour in. we've got quite the debate. And what I'm hoping to produce at the end of this debate is an audio CD's worth of a playlist of Smashing Pumpkins songs that a pumpkin virgin can listen to and become indoctrinated into the lifestyle
into
of
the pumpkins cult.
Yeah. One of us.
I do have to say right away, I have one song on my list that I will rage quit this podcast. I will say that this is the last episode of this podcast if this one song is not on this playlist. So I'm just going to put that out there. There's only one.
Ghostchildren.
Yeah, that's if that song doesn't make this list, this will be the last episode of this podcast we ever do.
That's a top 5 pumpkin song in my opinion. It's making this list.
I'm just putting it out there that I have, I worked very hard on my list, but that is the one song that if it absolutely has to be on this playlist, or otherwise I will end the podcast forever.
So I am looking at our list and there is not any crossover, but I cheated. Because I knew you were going to rep that song hard.
Absolutely.
So I avoided it, thinking we're going to put that song in the top 5 somewheres.
Yeah. Well, Glass and the Ghostchildren. I'm just going to say Glass and the Ghostchildren is literally my favorite pumpkin song of all time. Bar none, I will not accept any argument. Like, you can have a different favorite of all time. That's fine. I don't give a shit. No pumpkin song I have ever heard in my entire life is, in my mind, better than Glass and the Ghostchildren. That's just my opinion. That's how I feel. So I have to have that song.
My excuse for not including Glass and the Ghostchildren on my list, outside of me cheating and knowing how you felt about it.
Yeah.
And me kind of like, I was like, oh, we're going to have so much crossover. Because I kind of know how we both kind of lean as far as the pumpkins go.
Yeah.
My fear was, I give you 8, you do 8, I do 8. And like, we have 4 songs that are relatively, that are the actual same.
Yeah.
And then we have to sit there and be like, well, let's find filler for our 72 or 79-minute playlist.
Which that didn't happen, did it? That didn't really happen.
No crossover. Mostly because I avoided Glass of the Ghostchildren.
Yeah.
So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and start the arguments now.
Okay.
Or at least the debate. So I'm looking at your list. Your list is Glass and the Ghostchildren, Age of Innocence, Perfect, Procelina of the Vast Oceans, Pug, Stand Inside Your Love, Starla, and The Tale of Dusty and Pistol Pete.
Yeah, The Tale of Dusty and Pistol Pete. I gave up another song to get Dusty and Pistol Pete on there because I adore that song.
Yeah, the song you gave up is on my list.
Yeah, it is.
My list is today 99 Floors,
which
I'll explain that.
Yeah,
and I will explain that song when it comes up in the debate. Cherry, Landslide, Heavy Metal Machine, which I'm surprised wasn't on your list.
That is a very good song. Heavy Metal Machine is a very good song. I can definitely...
Spaceboy, Pennies, and Farewell and Goodnight.
I do like Farewell and Goodnight, but that's not one of my top. But it's good. It's a good song.
Farewell and Goodnight ended up on my top 8 because I didn't post Glass and the Ghostchildren.
Which is the greatest pumpkin song of all time, right?
It's a top 3 song. So I'm going to assume we're going to go ahead. First thing we're going to do is we're going to rank them.
Sure.
And then we're going to try to build a playlist in kind of the same range as our last playlist.
Right.
where we have kind of bangers in the like at the beginning, end, and kind of in the middle.
Well, the last time we did a playlist, it was intended to be a sexy playlist. Is that what we're trying to do again?
No, what we're trying to do is we're trying to convince the Smashing Pumpkins virgin
that this is the greatest band.
That this is the greatest band in the world.
Okay.
So we want them to listen to all 12 to 16 songs, however many we get in this playlist.
Okay.
And I ran the total track time, and of all the 16 songs, we're only 10 minutes over.
I mean, but that's pretty significant.
I mean, that's Starla.
Don't you dare. I will kill you.
No.
I will kill you.
I actually like Starla. It's the best song on that album.
Don't you talk shit about Starla. I love that song. That's
okay. So here's my explanation for 99 Floors.
Okay.
I'm going to post in the comments of this video on YouTube a link to my OneDrive. On that OneDrive will be a audio copy. Actually, no, at this point, I'll just go ahead and post a YouTube link to the performance.
That's a good idea.
99 Floors is, quite frankly, in my opinion, would be the best Smashing Pumpkins song if Today didn't exist.
I've literally never heard the song 99 Floors before.
So when I rank Smashing Pumpkins, so my feeling for Smashing Pumpkins songs is a lot of their good shit is the stuff that doesn't end up as radio singles.
Well, I mean,
a lot of their good shit is the B-sides to those radio singles.
Okay, Mr. Hipster.
I like Smashing Pumpkins before they were cool.
Yeah,
which is actually kind of true.
I only listen to the only good songs are the ones that don't ever play on popular radio, which I would agree with.
Yeah. So 99 Floors was on a DVD documentary called If It All Goes Wrong.
Okay.
Which was a documentary leading up to with the band's because the band kind of separated and then they came back with a different lineup.
Yeah. That's when they did Zeitgeist, right? Wasn't Zeitgeist their comeback album?
This was the rehearsals and whatnot leading up to Zeitgeist with the new band.
Yeah.
They did residencies at the Orange Peel in North Carolina and the Fillmore in San Francisco. And what they did was they kind of filmed it through the residencies and they kind of made a documentary on it.
Right.
99 Floors is a song that's in that documentary.
Right.
It is one of the best examples of the Smashing Pumpkins as a band. Their musical, like Billy Corgan's musical range, his ability as a musician, his ability as a songwriter, his ability as a composer. 99 Floors is, quite frankly, like if I were to tell somebody who didn't know anything about the Smashing Pumpkins, like Billy Corgan is one of the best musicians of the modern era.
Mm-hmm.
I would show them the YouTube video of 99 Floors and be like, here you go. Just watch it straight through. This is a song that this man wrote and this man performed. Because it is, of my opinion, Billy Corgan is especially of like the alternative rock in the early to mid 90s. Like all those people who kind of like grew up in like that came out of that like grunge / alt rock scene in the early 90s.
Right.
I will, till I'm blue in the face, insist that Billy Corgan is the most well-rounded and technically sound musician, songwriter, composer out of anybody who existed or who came out of that kind of like that early 90s alt rock / grunge scene. I will go to my grave making those arguments.
All right. I mean, it like
so there will be a link in the chat
just,
for.
The only thing is, I would never say that he is definitively grunge. Like,
okay, no, he was never grunge. That's why I said the alt rock / grunge scene that came out of the early 90s.
Because my opinion is like, because I have a completely different opinion on what the greatest grunge band of all time is, but
Mother Love Bone. It's either Mother Love Bone or Soundgarden.
No, Alice in Chains. Alice in Chains is the king of grunge. That's what I believe.
I've always kind of lumped Alice in Chains in with the metal. Metal phase.
They're definitively grunge for sure.
They had a metal phase though, and I've always kind of counted them more for their metal phase.
So my controversial thing with music is I don't think metal is very good music. Yeah.
Agree.
Yeah.
I agree. Metal is power chords and gargly sounding lyrics.
Bruh.
So I mean, that's why, because I would never describe, like, I personally would never describe Alice in Chains as metal. They are very like hardcore grunge.
They had kind of a metal.
I don't know. I mean, I've never felt that way about them, but because I don't like metal. But I don't know. But I mean, I would say Soundgarden's probably my second favorite grunge band of all time. Like, Alice in Chains is my number one favorite, but Soundgarden's my second favorite. But anyways,
I mean, Soundgarden and then Mother Love Bone.
I've never heard of Mother Love Bone. I don't know that. I've literally never heard of that band ever.
My knowledge of Mother Love Bone is how I got my wife.
Okay, well there you go. But yeah. So, anyways, Pumpkins. I mean, I think they're a great band. I mean, I don't know. Because I mean, I know that Pumpkins, Billy Corgan specifically, is one of your favorite artists of all time. And I mean, I think he's great. Like, I love pretty much all of his music. But I would never put him as my number one favorite artist of all time. Because I do have a definitive favorite artist of all time. Which is David Bowie. But I would put him up there. Like, I would probably say he's probably in my top 5 greatest artists of all time, you know? So, but I've definitely never thought of him as grunge. That's something that's never crossed my mind before.
No, he's not grunge, but he got lumped in with because he came out the same time as Pearl Jam, Nirvana, Soundgarden, Epic, like all those Seattle people.
Yeah, all the depressed Seattle artists.
Yeah, all the depressed Seattle artists. Here are these kind of like, because the Pumpkins got their start as a new wave, like a Euro new wave band.
Right.
Like if you listen to Gish is very electronica, very new wave.
Yeah.
Kind of like trying to be like New Order.
Well, one of the things that I've always appreciated about the Smashing Pumpkins is every single album feels completely unique and different from any other album. Because, like,
that's just a tribute to Billy's range.
Well, because so one of my biggest pet peeves with music artists is music artists that every song or every album sounds exactly like every other song or every other album that artist has ever done. And there's a few particular examples that really there's one artist that I actually hate with every fiber of my being, because every single goddamn song they ever produce sounds exactly like every other goddamn song they ever produce.
I mean, that's how you make money. But go ahead and name names, motherfucker.
The one that always really gets me is, and I literally can't think of their name at the exact second. It's Mumford and Sons. I think Mumford and Sons is one of the worst bands on the planet. I'm just going to go ahead and put that out there. I can't stand Mumford and Sons. I think they are the worst. Like every song they make.
I get your criticism, and the criticism is valid.
Oh, I can't stand them. I think they're terrible.
but for a folk band, like once you realize what they are and what they're trying to do,
yeah.
They 100% sit in that like Irish folk niche.
Every single song they make sounds exactly like every other song they make.
Yeah, but sometimes that's just like that folk music, that Irish folk music. That's the kind of niche that you want.
Well, because there's some folk bands I really like, but they sound like their music is all very one of my favorite folk bands of all time is Edward Sharpe and the Magnetic Zeros. Have you ever heard of Edward Sharpe and the Magnetic Zeros?
No.
So they do that. Alabama, Arkansas, I do love my ma and pa. Do you know that song?
No.
Come on. Oh, are you serious? It's such a famous song by them. It plays in every Pottery Barn that's ever existed.
Oh, yeah. How often does my fat ass end up in a Pottery Barn?
See, they're famous for that one song.
Want to know how I know you're gay?
Said go into a Pottery Barn.
Yeah.
They're famous for that one song, but they make such amazing music, and none of their songs sound exactly the same. There is no other the song that I was just now quoting. No other song they've ever made sounds like that song.
Right.
They're so good, and they're a folk band. They're so good.
I get it, but on the other side. Okay, let's face it. Mumford & Sons is trying to be commercialist.
Bruh.
Yeah, they are.
And sometimes when you're commercialist,
bruh,
you can't tone shift.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the sword Mumford & Son fell on.
Yeah.
I like Mumford & Son because lyrically speaking, I think their writing is profound. Musically speaking, yeah, they're a folk band with banjo.
I think they're terrible. I'm sorry, man. It's okay if you like them.
They're bluegrass. I legitimately like Mumford, a lot of Mumford songs.
That's okay.
But the thing is, it's I'll listen to Roll Away Your Stone. And then I'll listen to Little Lion Man, and they are the exact same song.
Another band that I get a lot of flack for, that I think is terrible, and it's mostly because I feel like a lot of their music is exactly the same. I remember I actually incurred the wrath of a couple of coworkers by saying this to them one time. I think Evanescence is terrible. I think they're a terrible band. I can't stand their music.
Yes, thank you.
I think they're awful. And I've seen Evanescence twice. I've seen them live in concert twice. I think they're terrible.
They're a mediocre at best band. Amy Lee is an amazing vocalist. Amy Lee, I would pay good money
to have her sit on your face. Would let sit.
would let sit.
Would let sit.
But that's not what we're doing today.
I know. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
I don't want to make my within 15 hours. I'm going to be married to this woman. I don't want to make her sad. We're not doing would let sit. But I would pay considerable amount of money to have Amy Lee perform Ave Maria at my wedding.
The best thing I ever heard her do was play with chords.
She's an amazing, like, that was a waste of her vote. Like her doing like backup vocals on Freak on a Leash
with Monkey.
Yeah, no, she did backup vocals on Freak on a Leash. That was a waste of that talent.
I saw that concert. I saw her do that.
Yeah, like that was an MTV Live episode.
I was at the concert.
You were there? No,
I was at Family Values 2007.
Right, but if she like put in the effort to learn how to sing Schubert's Ave Maria, I would pay considerable amount of money to have her perform Ave Maria at my wedding tomorrow.
I don't know.
I have $2,000. I have $2,000 sitting in my bank account right now. If Amy Lee called me up and said, if you pay me $2,000 and let me sit on your face, I will perform. Here is my demo of me doing Ave Maria. It's perfect. I will perform Ave Maria at your wedding. I'd be like, great. We're going to we're going to be at the courthouse at 3. Show up, perform Ave Maria, and sit on my face.
All right, man. Yeah, I mean,
she's an amazing vocalist. My complaints about Evanescence is their recordings and their music knows that Amy Lee is an incredible vocalist and the band is very mediocre.
Right.
What they did, yeah. So the way that they produced the songs is you have the band, the backup music so far in the background that all you really ever hear is Amy Lee's vocals. And to be perfectly honest, that doesn't do it for me. Mm-hmm. Like, I will agree, she's an amazing vocalist.
Right.
If she was an opera singer, I would go to her operas. However, she's not. She's a rock. She's a vocalist for a rock band.
Yeah.
And her backing musicians are trash.
I once admitted to my coworkers that I thought Evanescence was this was a job that I had years ago. I once admitted to my coworkers that I thought Evanescence was terrible, and I didn't realize that I was surrounded by major Evanescence fans. And so what they did was, for one entire day while I was working, this was a kitchen I was working in. They played Evanescence in the kitchen all day long. And after every single song, they were like, so what do you think of this? What do you think of this song? Because they knew I hated it. And I had to lie to their faces. I was like, oh yeah, I guess I was wrong. And I just needed to re-listen to it again so that I could realize that I actually liked it. And I was just like, just keep lying to them, because if you just keep lying about it, they won't ever force you to do this ever again.
Yeah, so yeah, Smashing Pumpkins.
Yeah, sorry, man. Sorry, that was all on me, man.
No, it's okay. It's okay. This is gonna be a long. This is apparently going to be one of our longer podcasts, but whatever. We've got to make up for some lost time.
So we've talked about 99 Floors. We've talked about Glass and the Ghostchildren, right? So what are we up against next?
Okay, so let's go ahead and start ranking these songs.
Okay.
You are going to put for the top song up Glass and the Ghostchildren, and me, I'm going to put up for the top song Today.
Okay.
So
sure.
So the reason why I say Today is the best Pumpkin song is because it is, I think, if you want a window into what the Smashing Pumpkins and or Billy Corgan is, Today is the best window.
Sure. So here's the thing.
Against Glass and the Ghostchildren. Glass and the Ghostchildren is Billy Corgan flexing his musician like cock.
Okay.
Like,
yeah.
If you want a good example of the musical range in one song for Billy Corgan, Glass and the Ghostchildren is a very good example.
Okay, so
possibly the best.
All right, so here's the thing. If I was introducing somebody to Smashing Pumpkins, like that they like let's say like we have somebody who's literally never listened to them before and like they're like, "Okay, make me an album and I will listen to it." Here's what I will say. I would never ever put Glass and the Ghostchildren as the first song that they listen to. Ever. I would never do that. Glass and the Ghostchildren is a song, like you said, it's a song where you've learned to appreciate what the band is capable of doing by listening to a wide variety and range of music that they've created. And Glass and the Ghostchildren is like the absolute epitome of everything that they are absolutely capable of doing crammed into one song. But the thing is you have to be able to appreciate what they're capable of doing before you can go into it to understand what that song is. I would never put that as I would never put Glass and the Ghostchildren as the first song to be listened to on a Smashing Pumpkins album. Ever. Never, ever, ever. I would even argue that I would make it the very last song on the album for the same reason. So if you want to say that Today is supposed to be the first song ever to be listened to on this album over Glass and the Ghostchildren, yeah, sure.
Okay, so we're doing ranking right now, and what I was thinking was like the top 4 songs kind of get stacked in the playlist so that there's kind of bangers all throughout the playlist.
Okay.
Kind of what we did for the because you know how I was like high low high low high low high low high low.
I guess.
I still feel like that's the best way to do a playlist.
Okay.
I mean, you don't really have lows with Smashing Pumpkins, especially when you're talking about the list that we have.
Yeah.
So ranking, I'm gonna go ahead and put Today as number 1.
Yeah.
And Glass and the Ghostchildren is number 2.
I'm okay with that. That's fine.
And I'm actually thinking, as far as the playlist goes, I'm probably going to put Today as track number 1 because it's also kind of just like a great intro song.
Sure.
And since I'm not doing 99 Floors, we're just going to go ahead and call 99 Floors not part of the playlist because it's going to be hard for me to create this playlist in Apple Music to give people a link. But I definitely will put the YouTube video as a comment on this video once it's posted.
Well, that's very kind of you to give up that song.
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and give up 99 Floors as part of the playlist, but it's but I'm definitely ranking as a top 5 Smashing Pumpkins song.
Okay. I'll have to give it a listen.
Because it's basically Glass of the Ghostchildren, only better.
All right, man.
Like if you want the full range. So your number 2 song, we've already went ahead and grabbed Glass and the Ghostchildren. What would you say? Because you went Glass and the Ghostchildren, and then you went
Alphabetic.
then you went alphabetic.
Yeah.
So you were like Glass and Ghostchildren, obvious number 1.
Yeah. That's literally the first song that came into my mind when you told me to do this. So, but then after that, I actually went and studied the music and went alphabetically.
So, what would you say is your number 2 song? Because you're going to go up against 99 Floors.
Oh, my number 2 song.
Out of your list.
So if I'm ranking these as like, highest tier to lowest tier, and Glass and the Ghostchildren is like my highest tier, I would probably have to say that, and I know this is rough because in all honesty, I would not want to put this song next to Glass and the Ghostchildren. Like, I would not want to listen to Glass and the Ghostchildren and then immediately listen to this song right afterwards. But this is still, despite that, my number 2 favorite. Probably Starla. It's probably Starla. So, and you're asking me about my personal opinion about my favorite songs, and that
Yes, that's fine.
So, because that's rough, because like I said, I would not want those 2 songs right next to each other. So, yeah, I would not want Glass and the Ghostchildren and Starla next to each other.
We're not talking about the playlist right now.
Okay.
We're talking about song ranking. And to be perfectly honest, I agree with you on Starla's number 3.
Okay. Because I love that song. I love Starla.
If 99 Floors didn't exist.
Okay.
Like, so it's kind of sad that you didn't listen to it because I gave you the link.
I know. I forgot that you sent it to me, and then when you brought it up, I was like, oh yeah, this is a thing you wanted me to listen to, and I haven't taken the time to listen to it. So I'm sorry.
Okay. Starla, because not a lot of us have a lot of examples of the Smashing Pumpkins as kind of a new wave band, which is where they got their start. They went new wave to then they went to kind of stadium rock. Yes, okay. I would never count them as grunge. So let's go ahead and rank as number 3, 99 Floors.
Okay.
And you are in for a treat when you finally listen to that song, sir.
All right, man.
And your listeners will have the same treat.
All right.
All right. What do you consider your number 3 song on your list?
Ooh, this is where it actually gets tough because now I have to properly think carefully about each song. I'm gonna have to go with Dusty. Dusty is one that comes to my mind like pretty fast. Like, I would even argue that it comes to my mind faster than Starla does, but I also know Starla very well. So I'm going to go with Dusty. I adore the tale of Dusty and Pistol Pete. I like that song because it's so, listen here, okay? We talk about like the range of like his quality of music with like Glass and the Ghostchildren. And then, like, his experimentalness and stuff like that with Starla. The tale of Dusty and Pistol Pete is just a beautiful, melancholic story. And that's why I love it, is because the music is great.
No.
I agree with you. The music is great, but the story, like, this is the tale of Dusty and Pistol
Pete is a great example of Billy Corgan as a writer.
Yes. He's literally telling you a beautiful and unbelievably sad story. Like, the music, like, don't get me wrong, like, I literally could not say anything bad about the music. It's legitimately a beautiful song from beginning to end musically. but good God, is the writing just... Listen, if that song doesn't
Hey,
make
buddy.
you feel something, like I don't know what to tell you. Just this, I can't exactly fully, because I love the music, but the story itself, like the story that he's telling, is so unbelievably just beautiful. Like, I love the tale of Dusty and Pistol Pete. I love it through and through. Um, it's one of those songs that makes you feel something when you're listening to it. And I mean, I definitely, like, the thing is too that I should say is, like, one of the reasons why I love when we were earlier talking about Glass and the Ghostchildren, that's a song that makes me feel something every time I hear it. So, like, I love music that makes me feel that way. But the thing is that when it comes to Glass and the Ghostchildren makes me feel something musically. Like, it's not specifically like the lyrics. Like, the lyrics are a part of it, and the lyrics are very interesting in Glass and the Ghostchildren. But the song as a whole deeply hits me. But with the tale of Dusty and Pistol Pete, that is a song that I love the music, but it's the story that is being told that at my core deeply affects me. It's such an unbelievable song. Like, I love that song so much, and I also feel like it's a song that's not very heavily appreciated, but I think it's great. So I think it's the goddamn bee's knees. So,
No. I agree with you. It's a prime example of Billy Corgan as a writer.
yeah.
My number 3 song is Cherry.
Right. Which is a good song. It's a good song. It's a really good song.
It's kind of a lyrical example of I don't know, kind of a sentimental side of the Pumpkins.
Yeah. Like, it's...
I
Yeah,
mean, I could be talked down from Cherry ending up being that high in the list.
okay.
But
Well, I mean, like...
for me, it's always been kind of a song that I kind of always enjoyed.
Right.
Because it also kind of has a little bit of a range to it. Like, it kind of feels like you go in, like, kind of feels like you're not necessarily being told a story, but you're being put on an emotional adventure with that song.
Well, sure. I mean, yeah. I could see that. Yeah, I mean, like, I think a lot of it with picking these songs too is, like, I mean, I feel like it's pretty standard that, you know, when you're picking like a top 8, which is what we're doing here, it's like they have to affect you in some way. You know, it can't
Right.
just be like some standard ass, like, you know, we ain't talking about, you know, no bullshit bullet with butterfly wings crap around here. Like, like, we're talking about real music.
Disarm. I don't really care. I don't really care that Billy Corgan grew up as an abusive household. Tell me, like, I want the song to be about, you know, him not, you know, unaliving himself.
I always felt like Bullet with Butterfly Wings is like the yuppie Smashing Pumpkins song.
Well, Bullet with Butterfly Wings was Billy Corgan trying really hard to be commercially successful.
Yeah. And he succeeded at it.
But it was a really good, but it's also a really good song. I can't fault him. He knows what he's doing. It's just Bullet with Butterfly Wings and Zero is very, very much him.
It's, you know, what they want you to hear.
Yeah,
that's the thing about
that. That was a very, like, let's go ahead and make artistically what we think is good, but also commercially what we know is viable.
Yeah, it's music that's designed to make money. That's what those songs are.
Yeah, but it's but, like, you know, unlike modern pop music, it actually was listenable.
It's actually good.
Yeah, it's actually good. So, your number 4 song on your list?
Like I said, I went in alphabetical order. So you want me to pick what I think is going to be number 4?
Yeah, because we got to put something in the because we got to put something in the 7th spot, in A spot.
I'm gonna go with. This is actually tough. I'm kind of actually torn between 2 songs. I'm gonna get into a bit of a nastier song. I'm like I was like, okay, do I want to pick like the really uplifting one, or do I want to pick like the really nasty one? I think I'm gonna go with the nasty one. I'm picking Pug. That song is like, I feel like my favorite like filthy Smashing Pumpkins song. Like I love that song. So I think Pug is going to be my number 4.
Pug is a really good example of the Smashing Pumpkins reminding you that they're at their heart a stadium rock song band.
Yeah, Pug is a filthy song. It's filthy.
It's dirty, fuzzy guitars.
Yeah.
It's kind of sexy.
Yeah. Well, because it's about a nasty woman, if I remember correctly. That's what the song's about, if I remember correctly.
I don't necessarily know the song, remember the song that well.
Oh, it's so good.
But you're right. It's like just pure stadium rock, which is kind of what Billy Corgan always wanted to be.
Yeah.
Like as far as pure stadium rock, I can't fault Pug being there at number 7.
Yeah, I do love it. I do love that song.
Now, my number 4 on my list is a cover, Landslide.
It's actually really funny. This song almost made it on my list, and I took it off. Landslide originally made it onto my playlist, and then I removed it because I wanted to make room for The Tale of Dusty and Pistol Pete. So I was like, I love Landslide, but I have to make room for Dusty and Pistol Pete. I had to. So I am like literally like, if I was allowed to pick 9 songs instead of 8, Landslide would have been my 9th song. So
okay, so that bodes well for Landslide. I like it because my justification for Landslide on my list at number 4 was I kind of felt like Billy Corgan did Landslide like Johnny Cash did Her.
I always feel so weird about that song. But that's okay. Not in a hateful way. Not in a hateful way.
Like no disrespect to Stevie Nicks.
No, it's her
or Fleetwood Mac.
Sure.
But I think Billy Corgan captured the essence of Landslide better than Fleetwood Mac did.
So the thing is about Billy Corgan's version of Landslide, that song, the way that he personally presents it is one of the saddest things I've ever heard in my entire life.
Like the song Landslide is
a sad song.
It's a sad song because it's a song about unrequited love.
Yeah.
And I think Billy Corgan does it better than Stevie Nicks.
I mean, so I didn't even know the song. I didn't even know for a long time. Literally before I musically educated myself, I just assumed that Billy Corgan wrote the damn song. Like, I just assumed it was his song. And then I educated myself, and then I was like, okay, it's actually written by, Stevie Nicks, and heard the version by Stevie Nicks, and it's great. It's great. Like, she's a very talented person, and the song is very good.
I love me some Fleetwood Mac.
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't think I might have listened to it, and I just don't remember. But despite the fact that, it's a great song, written by a great artist who did it very well, I would argue that Billy Corgan does it the best. No.
Yeah. Which is why I hold that I hold Landslide very high
Yeah.
because it's quite rare that a cover, like an artist covering a song, makes it their own.
Yeah.
Like the top two examples off of the top of my head is Johnny Cash's version of "Hurt," which me and Trent Reznor will both say that song is his now, and "Landslide" by the Smashing Pumpkins. I mean that "Landslide" is kind of a Smashing Pumpkins song now.
Mad World is another good example. I can't remember. So, Mad World is originally a punk rock song, and then it was redone to not be a punk rock song. And it's more famously known for the non-punk rock song. And I would also argue that
It's better that way.
it's better that way. Yeah. So, sorry, I don't know all the artists named.
You're fine. You're fine.
But yeah. All right. So there you go. My what was it? Number 4 or number 5 was Pug, and yours was
Oh yeah,
Landslide.
so yeah, the Tears for Fears going for Mad World.
Yes.
Yeah, is the better version. Yeah, no, I'll agree with you. Tears for Fears, Mad World is actually better. And to be perfectly honest, the people who covered it for the end credits of what's
Donnie
that movie
Darko.
called?
Donnie
Darko.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that version is actually the definitive version of Mad World.
Yep. Absolutely. God, this is like the third or fourth time within this last week I've heard a Donnie Darko reference, and now that I've heard like my third or fourth reference, it's like I haven't seen that movie in years. I should rewatch it. It's been a long time. I love that movie.
You know what? Pentatonics covered that song. I did not realize they did.
Oh, interesting.
They're a cappella band that typically does a lot of Christian music.
Huh. Okay.
Christian music. I'm going to take a listen to that after this is done because that intrigues me because that might be a good version.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, so we're going to go ahead and put Landslide at 8 for right now,
Okay.
but that's a song that might slide down 1 or 2 depending on who you have as your number 5 song.
This is getting really nitty gritty. So my number 5 song, this was the one that was competing with Pug for the number 4 slot. My number 5 is going to be Age of Innocence is going to be my number 5. So I love how one of the things that I think makes Age of Innocence a great song is it opens amazingly. It has like no context, no real buildup. It drops you right into the middle of it. And I love how it does it. Like it has like a beginning fade. Like it fades in, but it's when you start listening to it, it drops you right smack into the middle of the music. And I love that about Age of Innocence. I love that song because of that. And like I said, like when Billy Corgan starts singing in that song, because of how the music drops you right, like I said, it has an opening fade, but it really just feels like it the song Age of Innocence has this weird effect in the very beginning that I love, where it makes you feel like when you start listening to it, it makes you feel like you've always been listening to it. It's this, I don't know how to explain it other than say it that way. It makes you feel like that you've always have been listening to this song, and it's amazing. And when Billy Corgan starts singing in it, it's like when he starts singing, it makes you feel like that he was taking a short break and he is now returned to continue what he was saying before. And I don't know like what it is about that song that is able to do that in that way, and I can't even say that I've ever heard a song from any band ever anywhere that gives me that same feeling. where like I'm dead serious. Like, go look up "Age of Innocence" by Smashing Pumpkins and just listen to like the first few seconds of that song. It's just this.
Yeah, no, it's like this song where you are kind of like it comes in and you're like, did my player skip like 2 minutes?
Yeah, it feels like you've always been listening to it. It's the coolest effect. It's the coolest effect. And it feels like it doesn't have a beginning. It feels like you've always been listening to it. It's weird,
right.
and I love it. I love it.
No. It's a good song, and I'll give you credit for that. I don't think it's better than Heavy Metal Machine, which is my number 5 song. But now that I kind of now that I think about Heavy Metal Machine a little bit more, I kind of like it better than Landslide.
Okay.
And
Heavy Metal Machine. I mean, I like that song.
Heavy Metal Machine is another one of those. Like, I kind of think it's a better Pug example than Pug.
Oh, like it's really dirty and nasty?
Yeah, like it's really dirty and nasty. It's like just grimy, fuzzy guitar.
Heavy metal machine. Yeah, it is pretty good.
Yeah,
it's a good song.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to propose that song is at least 7th on our ranking.
All right.
Like, put it above Pug and Landslide and Age of Innocence for right now.
All right. Okay with that.
We'll recap the ranking. That song might end up higher now that I'm thinking about
it. You mean Heavy Metal Machine? Heavy Metal Machine's a lot of fun. Like, the thing that
Heavy
I
Metal
like
Machine. Yeah, it's rock for rock's sake.
Well, because the thing that's really interesting, because so a lot of my picks are based on my personal artistic view, but the thing about Heavy Metal Machine is that it's a song that's literally just fun to listen to. It's literally just fun. Like, I wouldn't add, like, I mean, I'm sure there is a particular, like, every Pumpkin song has a particular level of complexity to it, sure. But, like, Heavy Metal Machine is one of those songs where you don't have to think too deeply about it, and you can just enjoy it for what it is, and that's what makes it so good.
It's well-crafted rock for the sake of rock music.
Yeah. It's
a good song. For rock and roll. Let me down to save my soul.
Mm-hmm. All right. Move on to the next one?
Moving on to the next one.
I mean, unless you have more to say about
Heavy Metal Machine. It's just it's well-crafted rock music.
Okay.
It's not particularly great writing. It's not particularly nuanced musicianship.
Right.
But it's just one of those songs that just like hits you and you're like, "Oh yeah, I'm listening to a rock band."
Right.
And you just have fun and you enjoy the fact that you're listening to a rock band. So I guess we're at number 6 in our song rankings. If you want to tell me what you've got.
Definitely Procelina. Definitely.
Procelina is a greatly underestimated song on the Melancholy double disc. That's a good choice there, sir.
Yeah, I love Procelina of the Vast Oceans. But the thing is too is that like I can come to terms with the idea of other people. Like, there's some songs where it's like I feel very passionately about. Like I mentioned, like obviously, Glass the Ghostchildren, Tales of Dusty and Pistol Pete, Starla. Those are songs where I'm like, you need to love this. Like, I'm very passionate about those songs. Procelina is a song that I really personally love. But it's a song that I'm more comfortable with not trying to convince people to love it. It's like I said, like when it comes, like I mentioned the songs where I'm like, you have to love this music, but Procelina is like when somebody's like, oh, I don't think it's that great. It's a good, it's a pumpkin song, and I like it because it's a pumpkin song, but I don't think it's that great. When people tell me that, I'm like, all right, like that's fine. Like I definitely totally can understand that. But something about the song itself really resonates with me. I think it's a combination of the cool melodic tones as well as the overall story that goes with it. It's one of those things where it kind of has a sound that I would say makes me think of the ocean, which is I think part of the whole design of the song in the first place. And I mean, I personally love the ocean too. So, I mean, obviously, like, I kind of have an attachment to it. But it's just, I don't know. I just think it's a very personally beautiful song. But I also don't have any issue with people not liking it either. Like, I don't feel like I have to, like, argue for it or anything like that.
Yeah. I think Porcelina was one of those concept songs on Melancholy and Infinite Sadness that a lot of people slept on, but if you were paying attention, it's kind of what made you realize that this was kind of supposed to be a concept album if Billy didn't spend a whole lot of time kind of trying to be commercially successful.
Yeah. 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 It's a great song, and I feel like that it really it definitely shows off the Pumpkin's ability to be melodic, like very melodic
Yeah.
and soothing and relaxing. And it's very good at doing that. And it's also very good at setting a very particular type of atmosphere when you're listening. Like, it literally, when I hear it, the song is literally like, it definitely has a setting that takes place in the oceans. And when I listen to it, I feel like that's where I am when I'm listening to it. It puts me in that state of mind, and I enjoy it for that purpose.
No, you're absolutely right
Yeah.
there. Not something I would pick, but I respect it. Like,
Well, I mean, like I said, like I'm not going to fight for it. I
right,
love
yeah,
the
you're
song,
not-
but I don't feel like I need to fight for it.
that's probably going to end up sliding down this ranking here.
That's fine.
For right now. I'm putting above it my number 6 choice or number 5.
Something like that.
Number 6 choice. Yeah, we're in our number 6 choice. Spaceboy.
So I don't immediately recognize that song. Because whenever I hear Spaceboy, I think of David Bowie.
Right. Spaceboy, for me personally, and this is probably another song that's probably going to get shuffled downwards, but this was kind of an emotional banger for me from Siamese Dream.
Okay.
It's a good example of kind of the quieter side of the Pumpkins when they're trying to be a stadium rock band.
Uh-huh. Okay.
So that's why it's always like I've held it in high regard.
All right, man.
But like Porcelina, Spaceboy is just like one of those songs that I'm going to be like, you're like, no, Spaceboy is trash. I'm like, okay, whatever. Let's just listen to Hummer.
Hummer almost made it on my list too, but that was a lower tier one. That is a good song.
Yeah, no, it's a good song from that album, but it just between Mayonnaise, Soma, and
Space. Sorry.
Wayne, yo. Yeah. Right. Yeah, like like that kind of back end of Siamese Dream,
mm-hmm.
Spaceboy, Soma, Mayonnaise.
Yeah.
Spaceboy kind of always resonated with me higher, so I always just kind of held it.
I'll have to give that a re-listen because I feel bad that I don't remember the song. It was on my playlist, but I didn't. When I was selecting my music, I was basically going through a huge playlist of music, and whenever I saw a title that I recognized, like that shot off in my brain, that was like, "This is definitely a good song. Listen to it." that's what I would listen to and then put it on my list or not. I did see Spaceboy on my playlist, and it did not trigger for me, so I didn't listen to it. So I apologize.
No, that's fine. We're heading towards the end of our lists. The only reason why we have 8 is because we didn't get 5 from Cinder Shadow. So we're kind of heading at the end of our list. Speaking of the end of the list, you have a number 7 song.
Okay.
Your 2 remaining songs are Stand Inside Your Love and Perfect.
Stand Inside Your Love is going to be it. Perfect is
Okay.
like, the thing I gotta say, I do like the song Perfect. It's at the bottom of my list. It's at the bottom.
So Perfect is the Adore attempt to try to be radio popular.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely...
And it always, and for me, it always kind of felt out of place there.
Yeah.
Like, because that's kind of what it was in the album that was kind of him coping with the death of his mother. Because that's what Adore is.
Yeah.
Adore is kind of him trying to cope with the death of his mother. And then there were like radio-friendly sequel to 1979.
Yes. I would definitely, if you were to say to my face right now that Perfect was a reattempt of what he captured with 1979, I would 100% agree with you.
Billy is on the record said that song is basically the spiritual successor to 1979. And it's obvious because in the video, they literally recasted the same kids, just, so many years later.
Yep.
So Stand Inside Your Love is your choice for number 7.
Yes, it is.
I love that song.
Yeah, I'm not gonna argue for it.
It's a power ballad, and it's probably one of the top 5 power ballads of all time.
It's definitely a passionate, in-your-face kind of song. Like, it's a song that is designed to be beautiful, but also very brash. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, I want you to, like, it's like, I want to play this beautiful music for you, but I also want to make sure that it's in your face and you can't possibly forget it. Like, and that's what makes it so interesting. It's like you said, like a power ballad. It's more than just a power ballad, like
80s glam rock musicians used to do.
Yeah.
And I think it's a pretty good a stab at it. It's easily top 5 there. I'm going to put Stand Inside Your Love above Landslide.
Okay, man.
Because
like I said, Landslide fell off my list. Like, it was kind of at the bottom and it fell off.
Like, there's songs in here that I kind of like. I put Landslide up there, but like, you're like introducing things that I think are better than Landslide.
Yeah.
I
will never ever. You will never catch me alive saying that Landslide is a bad song ever.
No. It's not a bad song. It's just there's. Okay, so spoilers. It's probably going to end up in the final playlist.
All right. I would understand why. Like, I'm not gonna say I do like that song a lot. It just couldn't make it onto my top 8.
Right? No. My number 7 song.
Go ahead.
My number 7 song is Pennies.
So I don't know that song. I definitely for sure don't know that song, and I don't think I have it in my collection either.
Okay, so Pennies is a B-side.
Okay, that's probably why I don't have it.
It's a B-side in the Airplane Flies High box set.
Right. Good song, by the way. That almost made it onto my playlist, by the way.
Oh, the airplane flies high. Yeah, it was like
I love it.
it was in my top 10.
Yeah.
Like if for some strange reason your list didn't include like 2 10-minute songs.
Yeah.
Because it literally does.
I'm sorry.
And we were gonna need filler. I was gonna suggest that song.
Yeah.
As filler.
The thing is I think that Billy, like, I'll say it right here, right now. I think Billy Corgan is at his absolute best when his song goes 10 minutes or longer. That is when he's at his peak performance.
Oh yeah, no. Peak musician performance if he just keeps going. Yeah. Like the song Silver Fuck.
Yes! That's a great song. It's
like mostly instrumental where he's just like, I'm just gonna throw some lyrics in here.
Yeah.
But it's like it's an instrumental and they're just around. And I'm like, no, this is a groove. I dig it.
So good. That is a great song.
So Pennies.
Yeah, go for it.
I'm gonna throw that up in there.
Sure.
So Pennies is a song that not a lot of people have heard of. But it's a really great example of kind of like the fun and playful side of the Smashing Pumpkins.
Okay, I'll look into it. I've never heard
of
it. So.
It's a song about a ending relationship.
Okay.
And like kind of like the dejection from the ending of the relationship. The problem is he doesn't know how to end the song, so just like he just starts repeating pennies for sale. But
okay.
it kind of hits. You're like, huh. No, that works. You're like when you're in a relationship that kind of ends unexpectedly, maybe due to infidelity, or because that's kind of like what the song hints at,
right?
And you're like, oh, this was a really great relationship, but I mean, you kind of around, so it's over now, and it's whatever.
Well, apparently it wasn't. Yeah, apparently it wasn't a very good relationship.
Okay, so we're at our last songs. Farewell. My song is Farewell and Goodnight, and yours is Perfect.
I'm not going to argue at all for Perfect. You can say whatever you want, man.
Okay, so we're just going to go ahead and put those in there.
So, in all seriousness, I just want to say the one thing. You want to know why I picked Perfect? I picked Perfect because I said to myself, I have to have at least one radio popular song. At least one. That's why I picked Perfect.
So you forced yourself. You forced yourself out of your hipster safe hold.
Yeah.
No. That's respectful. That's respectful.
Yeah.
I kind of did like my rule of thumbs is like the Pumpkins' best work, like Billy Corgan's best work, the Smashing Pumpkins' best work isn't the stuff that gets released as singles. It's the stuff that doesn't even end up on the album, but it's the B-side of the singles.
Yeah.
But I think as a song today, kind of lets you know what the Pumpkins are about.
Sure. Okay.
Like if so, today's probably going to be we're going to talk about the playlist at this point.
Okay.
I'm going to let you know how I'm going to run off the rankings here in a little bit, but I'm pretty sure I have Today as the number 1 song.
Okay.
And it's probably going to be the first track because on the off chance the person we're listening to doesn't have a lot of time, the song I want them listening to is Today.
All right. I mean, that's fine. It's a good song. I like it.
So the ranking we have right now is Today, Glass and the Ghostchildren, 99 Floors, which will probably get skipped out of the playlist because it was never released in a format that iTunes will pick up.
Okay.
But again, link will be in the comments, and people should check it out. It's a good song.
Okay.
Number 4 is Starla. Number 5 is The Tale of Dusty and Pistol Pete.
Hell yeah. Such a good song.
No, I agree with you. That's a pretty good song.
I can
Number
literally
6.
hear it in my head right now. It's so good.
Dusty springs through doors.
An imaginary.
Yeah. Like, I'm going to listen to that song after we're done
It's
recording.
such a good song.
It is.
I adore it. I adore that song.
Number six is Cherry.
Okay.
Number 7 is Heavy Metal Machine.
Sure.
Number 8 is Pug.
Okay.
Number 9 is Stand Inside Your Love. And number 10 is Landslide.
Right.
Honorable mentions to Age of Innocence, Spaceboy, Procelina, Pennies, Farewell and Goodnight, and Perfect.
Okay.
I kind of want Farewell and Goodnight. I kind of want Farewell and Goodnight as the final track.
Uh-huh.
Because as a final track, it's kind of
it's literally called Farewell and Goodnight.
Farewell and Good. It's literally called Farewell and Goodnight.
Yeah.
It's a great outro song, and it's one of the few examples we get of James E. Haw singing and Darcy Worski singing.
Mm-hmm. It's a good song. I do like that one.
Yeah, it's good.
Where did you put Glass?
Oh, number 2. Okay. Number 2. So I'm going to go ahead and start building this playlist. We're going to go ahead and just assume 99 Floors doesn't show up.
Hey man, I'm happy because my top 3 made it on there, so I'm happy with that.
So we're just going to go ahead and throw that down there.
I'll be honest, I kind of wish Age of Innocence made it on there, but it's okay. It's okay.
I mean, Age of Innocence is number 10 right now. Because I'm assuming 99 Floors doesn't make the playlist because it's going to be difficult to build that playlist with it. So
okay, that's all right.
Age of Innocence is in.
Oh, I thought you said that it was. I thought you said it was an honorable mention. Like it didn't.
It's an honorable mention as far as the ranking goes.
Oh, I see. Okay.
But for the track listing, we've got Today as track 1, Glass and the Ghostchildren as the penultimate track.
Because it's the best song they've ever made. Which is really saying something because they've made amazing music, like nonstop throughout their entire career. But
right. And the final track is Farewell and Goodnight. Starla,
dear.
I kind of want to do Tale, Dusty, and Pistol Pete before Starla.
You can do that.
So we've got somewhere's in the middle. We're gonna do Tale, Dusty, Pete before Starla. So for right now, that we're gonna do that. Cherry.
Uh-huh.
You know what? I think Cherry should be track number 3.
You can do whatever you want, man.
Because I kind of want Stand Inside Your Love as number 2.
Okay.
So right now, I've got Today, Stand Inside Your Love, Cherry, The Tale of Dusty and Pistol Pete.
Mm-hmm. You remember what I said earlier about Glass and the Ghostchildren, right? That song is great for putting at the end of like a.
Oh yeah, no! It's the penultimate song. It's the penultimate song. So it's the second to last track. It's the second to last track with Farewell, and then Farewell and Goodnight there at the end because it's an outro. It's a great outro song, and it's a good example. And it's one of the few examples we get of Ehaw's singing, and it actually gives us Darcy singing.
Sure.
As well.
Sure.
Let's see here. I want to put Procelina after Dusty.
Oh, I thought Procelina wasn't going to make it on the list. Okay.
Oh, it's making it.
Cool. All right.
Well, that's because 99 Floors isn't there. There was some juggling because we're just not putting 99 Floors on the playlist. So there's going to be 2 links. like with the previous music one, I'm going to create an iTunes and an Apple playlist and share that on the share that on this podcast. And I'm also going to do a YouTube video link for 99 Floors.
Nifty. Got a lot of homework, listeners. Better be paying attention.
I've got Heavy Metal Machine right before Glass and the Ghostchildren.
Okay. That's probably a good transition, actually. Yeah, I think I could get behind that. That's all right.
I want Pug after Starla and Landslide before Starla. I've got 15 minutes left, and Spaceboy after Pug.
Okay.
Age of Innocence after Spaceboy. And Pennies before Heavy Metal Machine.
Alrighty.
We have a 75.5-minute long playlist. We didn't include Perfect or 99 Floors.
I'm okay with that. I'm okay with giving up Perfect. I'm okay with that.
Yeah, no, I'm happy with this playlist. So here's the playlist as it stands. We're gonna lead off with Today, and then go and Stand Inside Your Love. We're then gonna go to Cherry, and then the Tale of Dusty and Pistol Pete.
Right.
We'll then run to Procelina, and then do Landslide. Starla in the middle of the album.
Mm-hmm.
And then we're going to do Pug, Spaceboy, Age of Innocence, Pennies, Heavy Metal Machine, Glass and the Ghostchildren, and Farewell and Goodnight. I think this has a good flow, good transitions, and like there's not a clump of like high low. It's kind of mid high, high, mid high. So I think this would be a good 75-minute listening experience for anybody who is a Smashing Pumpkins virgin. We can give them all of the oral sex.
You're right, man.
And indoctrinate them into
the cult of pumpkins.
Pumpkin headhood.
Yeah.
So you happy with this? Because if so, I'll go ahead and start building the list while we kind of wind down.
Yeah, I think it sounds great. I think that's fine.
All right, great.
Yeah, I definitely, I mean, I just want to say that I kind of really enjoyed being able to re-experience some of this music, and I definitely had some pretty deep thoughts about some of the songs and how they made me feel. Like, there were a few that kind of like surprised me. Like I said, like one of the ones was like Age of Innocence was a song that really surprised me, that because like I totally like I remembered liking it, and then when I re-experienced it because we were doing this homework, I was like, oh my god, I totally forgot that it sounded like this. This is so good, you know? So I'm kind of really glad that we did this, and I got to kind of re-experience some of the music and reaffirm some opinions I had about it. So this was a good time. I just wanted to kind of really say that. But
well, I'm glad that we that you got something from this this little thought experiment.
Yeah, man, it was a lot of fun. I'm glad we did this.
I'm glad to. I've kind of missed hanging out with you, and
yeah, me too.
And my fiance was like, I missed the playlist. I missed the podcast. I was like, well, we're gonna try to do one before we're married.
Right.
And she's like, oh no. I'm like, no, we've already decided we're not gonna objectify women.
Well, I mean, you know, she can always try and work a little bit harder on her gravity magic, but we're not going to bring that up.
I mean, she doesn't need to. She's naturally perky.
But yeah, no, I've missed it too, and I know you've been really busy and stuff like that. And I know you might also be a little bit busy after this one as well. So if you need some more time, because
no. Actually, things at work are probably dying down because of just where I work, and like November and December are kind of quiet times. So
Cool.
I'd like to try to record more. With your schedule,
Right.
we'll see. We'll see where we're at, but I've missed hanging out with you, and I'm glad that we were able to do this.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
And I'm doubly happy that like you got something very positive out of
this particular episode and this subject.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Well, it's just because like one of my favorite things about you specifically, like as a person, is you're very good at making me do things in a good way. Like for example, like one of my favorite things is that like I would have never started this podcast, which is something I've always wanted to do, if you didn't proposition me to do it in the first place and force me to do it. And this is just another example of that. Like, it's one of my favorite qualities about you in general is you can always get me to do something. And it's almost like I can't think of a single negative situation it's put me in yet. Because it's whenever you force me to do something, it's always benefited me in some way. So I really appreciate, having you as a friend and having you do that.
I do what I can.
I appreciate it, man. So, and I'm really excited that you're getting married and you're gonna, get into all this new
Tomorrow at 3
stuff.
p.m., man.
Yeah, man. It's gonna be a good time, man. I wish you nothing but the best for your marriage, man. But you know what? We should wrap this up. So I'm gonna say all the wonderful things, which is like, comment, subscribe, check in the doobly-doo for all the wonderful links. PayPal, Streamlabs. Wonderful shout out to the Patreon members. You guys know who you are, and I love and adore all of you for taking care of me so well. I think that's all the normal things. It's been a while. It's been a wee bit of time since I've last done one of these outros.
It's been a minute. Yeah.
Yeah. But, I think we had a good time. I think we got a lot of good stuff out of this. We got to talk about music. We got to talk about all sorts of silly things. And, I think this
and we even managed to objectify Amy Lee, but she had it coming.
We did a little bit. We did a little bit of objectifying. That wonderful Lulu gravity equation. It's always gonna. That is a favorite. I feel like that you and I enjoy that more than our listeners, but I still love the fact that we had such a good time in that episode. But anyways, I think that's gonna be it. And I think I'm going to say the line that I've been waiting literally weeks to say, which is, we have been the Imaginary Boys. Good night, everyone.